Hey guys, today we are going to be talking about script analysis for voice actors. Now, at the end of the day, a voice actor is just an actor, but I'm a voice actor, so I'll be speaking from my experience and my perspective of how I go through a script and deconstruct it, analyze it, absorb it, all of that good stuff. So, today we will be talking about the process that you can go through to do a script analysis, some methods that I use when breaking down a script, and some tips as to whether if you're feeling stuck a little bit in analyzing your script, what are some things that you can do to unstick yourself? So, what is script analysis? Basically, the goal of script analysis is for you to understand the script, absorb it, integrate it, know the intentions behind it, know the context in which you're saying it, saying your lines or whatever it is. And this can encapsulate multiple variables. It can be the intention behind what you're saying, it can be understanding the relationships between the characters in the scene. It could be understanding the era in which this piece was created. For example, if you're reading Shakespeare, understanding the intended audience and what was going on in that time for them to gain perspective on the events that are happening. You could even go as far as to read works that the author has written elsewhere to understand their insight and their perspective in the way that they understand the world. So the first thing that we'll talk about is this book. It's called Backwards and Forwards by David Ball. This book was suggested to me by my dialect coach the first time that I ever met with her, and I actually read this book in tandem with reading Hamlet, and then I used the strategies in this book to analyze a speech that Gertrude makes about Ophelia's death. And it was pairing the action and the practice with the knowledge at the same time that really helped solidify some of the concepts in this book and really helped integrate it to make it much easier for me moving forward whenever I'm looking at other scripts to dissect. So I'll talk about a few key concepts that I got from this book, but I really do suggest that you go ahead and read it for yourself. One of the main concepts is the idea of triggers and heaps. That's what they refer to it in the book as, but I'll talk about it as actions. So whenever you're reading a script, whenever you're reading a play, you want to be aware of what actions are causing other actions, and they start to create this timeline of events as the play moves forward. So you can't just be behaving and acting as a character without knowing what caused it. And that's one of the main concepts in the book. You should be able to understand the actions and what caused them so deeply about your character and in the context of the story that you could be able to tell the story almost backwards by understanding the connection of these actions. Another thing that they talk about in the book is that you are creating an emotion in your audience, in your listeners, in your viewers, whatever the case is. And to do this, you really have to have a solid understanding about what your intention is whenever you're reading your lines. So half of the work is what you're saying, but the other half of the work is understanding what those inner thoughts are and what those intentions are to create the emotion in your audience. And the final thing that I'll draw from this book is the tip that you need as an actor. Your job is to complete the character that you're reading. And I chose this tip because in voiceover work, we tend to get very little information about the things that we're reading about. If it's a video game, you tend to have just the lines. You don't even always have the context of what's happening in the scene. If it's in animation, it's very much the same thing. You might not even receive the dialogue from the other characters that you're supposed to be speaking to, and you're just supposed to deliver the lines however the director is wanting you to deliver. In commercial work, you might have 45 words and 15 seconds to squeeze it in, and it's your job to figure out the intention behind all of that and to give real emotion and meaning to the things that you're saying. What I would suggest that you do is add as much detail as possible. It's your job to bring an entire personality to what's just on paper. And that's one of the most fun things about being a voice actor, that you get to create those characters and discover new parts of yourself and really find a genuine way to connect to what you're reading. So you can come up with intricate stories about who you are, what your job is. Basically, you're trying to find some substance to add in that brings you to the moment where you deliver the script that you're reading. Tip number 2, I will get into the methods that I use whenever I'm breaking down a script. So step 1, I get a script. What do? I read through the script. I don't look at the direction. I read through and I try to gather my own intention and understanding of what that script is trying to say. Once I feel like I have an idea of what I interpret the script as, then I'll go and I'll look at the direction and see if I can pair and marry those two thoughts or types of direction, or see if they even match. And the reason I do it in this order is because oftentimes as a voice actor, the producer or the casting director may not have a solid idea of exactly what they're looking for in the delivery of the script, and it might be a little bit muddled in the direction that they give you. The direction can sometimes be happy but not too happy, professional but not too corporate, and then you find yourself trying to walk this tightrope and you totally lose the creative side of bringing a character and a personality to your script because you're trying to make the client happy based off of what they say. So that's why I read it first. I try to get my own footing on it, and then I'll go and I'll look at what they want me to say. And then before I even begin reading out loud, then I pull out a piece of paper and I begin writing. The first thing that I write down is what senses am I trying to access in the listener that is hearing this message. And it could be any of the senses. It could be sight, smell, touch, hearing, whatever it is. For example, if it's taste, then I might be talking about some delicate, refined, tasty chocolate, and I'm trying to almost have the listener feel like they can taste it already in their mouth. And that's a really important distinction to make before you start reading, so then you kind of know where your intention is and exactly what you're trying to access. If it's a visual script, which oftentimes they're going to be paired with video and things like that, then I use that to create the images in my head of what would be going on the screen, which I oftentimes have no idea what they're going to be pairing this with or what it's going to look like. And whenever I'm able to visualize what might be on the screen, that helps to inform the key words in the script that I'm reading that I might be focusing on, like, oh, this would probably be what the picture is, and that gives me an idea of where my important words are in the script. Next, I come up with action verbs, and these action verbs are basically what action I'm trying to impose on the listeners. So am I trying to seduce them with a new perfume and give them this idea of what life would be like with this new smell and what experiences this smell will bring them to?
Acqua di gioia, the new essence of joy.
Or am I trying to soothe them with the spa that they should come and relax at?
Journey to a serene oasis. Relax.
And that all helps inform my emotion and helps me already kind of get in the mentality of what my emotion is going to be. Then I start to write down what the overall thought of the entire script is in less than a sentence. So if it's a mobile banking commercial, then the thought is traditional banking is too stressful for modern day life, and your life would be so easy if you joined our bank and used our convenient mobile banking system, right? That was a little bit longer than I probably would have written down, but you get the point. And then I think about how this is communicated in the script. Did the script use examples? Did they create a stressful situation at the beginning of how stressful traditional banking is and then lead you into this feeling of ease with this new banking system? How did they express that nutshell thought throughout the script? And then finally what I do is I think about what would happen if you didn't have whatever the product or service is that they're promoting. So in the commercial world, this can be very difficult. You're in your studio all day, you're pounding through these commercials, it's one after another, and it's easy to get emotionally disconnected with the things that you're reading, especially if you're the kind of voiceover that auditions a lot. And it's easy to just want to get through it and then get to lunch because you're hungry. So one of the ways that I make sure that I'm still emotionally connected to the things that I'm reading is I create stakes. What would happen if I didn't buy this product, or if you didn't buy this product. And this is where you can get really creative. You can create an entire storyline behind it. So if we're talking about the banking commercial, for example, and how stressful it is not to have the mobile option with your bank versus how easy and convenient it would be to sign up with this bank where they have a mobile option, then I might create a story about what if you didn't have the mobile banking option. And it could be something as intricate as, let's say that you're a mom and you're running around trying to manage everybody's schedules, and you have to get your husband to the airport for a life-changing job interview, and you guys are running a little bit late because the kids got out of school late, and now you have to use your card to fill up the gas, but you forgot to transfer money over from the savings account, so your card is getting declined. And that's a high-stress situation that I've created on what the stakes could be. And I absorb that, I try to connect with that, and that helps me emotionally connect to the script and really appreciate whatever it is I'm trying to sell or convince somebody of, because all of a sudden I know how horribly wrong things could and would probably go if they didn't, buy it or understand the message. Now, bear in mind that you don't necessarily need to bring the anxiety and negativity of those high-stakes situations into the read of the script that you're doing. That should be more in the back of your mind, just allowing you to stay connected to the emotion of whatever you're trying to sell or promote. Whenever I would go to read the script, I would probably just keep that appreciation and gratitude for what this service is. And finally, tip number 3, what if you've gone through this whole process and used these methods and you still feel stuck in your script? And this is gonna happen. Inevitably, there are going to be scripts that are harder to connect to. Not all scripts are created equal. Some of the writing might not be sufficient. Perhaps you're just not really the demographic that you're going to be speaking to, and oftentimes this will happen in auditions. So if I'm reading for an AARP script, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to really understand the intention behind it, because I don't have those experiences that people in that demographic might have. I'm not having the thoughts, or I'm not in the situations at this point in my life. So it would be difficult to really understand and get into the emotion that you're trying to access. And to me, whenever I feel like I'm in that position, it's a sign to me that I need to control my mental state and my emotional state, and basically force it into the state that I need to be in. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is understand the emotional state, even if it's just intelligently and not fully emotionally connected. Just understand the emotional state that's being created in the script. So if it's an AARP commercial and they want something that's heartwarming and gives you a sense of relief because of whatever service they're offering to make life easier and stress-free, then you have heartwarming, relief, stress-free, things like that to go off of. And then you're going to want to stop and think about what situations in your life would help develop those types of feelings. You can make up a story. You can think of something that's happened in your past that you felt was heartwarming or provided relief to you, things like that. And while you're thinking about that, or while you're creating this story to help influence this emotion, what I like to do is I'll put on a song that I might anticipate would be played during that commercial or whatever it is. And then you might want to walk around your apartment or your house and kind of emulate the body language of what you might see in those kinds of situations that help influence that emotion. And connecting physically with these emotions, connecting through music with these emotions, and then creating a story that you connect with is going to be what helps to funnel you into that emotion that you're trying to access. And then I hold on to that, and then I go to the script, and then I read the script. And bear in mind, at the end of the day, you're not meant for every script. There's always, if I'm reading an AARP commercial and they want somebody that's older to read it, I'm happy to audition for it, but I'm not going to, pin all of my hopes on landing this one role that wasn't even really meant for me. But at the end of the day, yes, you want to be a vessel for the client and be able to express the message and the emotion that they're looking for in the script, but you can only do the best that you can. And if during that work you find a way to bring your own originality and your own personality to the script and feel like it's an authentic way of expressing this message in a way that connects with you, then that's really why you became an actor, isn't it? So, don't pressure yourself too much, but I hope some of these tips were helpful. If you have any questions or anything to add, feel free to add it in the comments below, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you next time.